Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, Mack Truck, Mack Truck.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Good morning, y'all. Happy Monday. Listen, we're here. It's Mack Truck in the morning on a Monday. Yeah, listen, it's Monday. We're here. I'm here. It's been an interesting weekend. I appreciate you guys for joining me here on the Underknown Network as well as the TikTok stream. Thank you for joining us here on a Monday evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are in the general globe. My name is Mack Truck. Thank you for joining us. We got a short docket today, but lots and lots of details, guys. So if you're just joining us, if you're new here, like I said, my name is Mack Truck. We're here, lodge and in charge, all of the things that come with being in the sports realm. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. I see you guys over here on both sides. Thank you so much. We're here. It's August 10th, 2026. The fact that it's August 10th is very concerning to me in the best way, because 2026, I feel like, has just kind of flown by. I feel like it's flown by. But I also feel like it's still dragging. Does anybody else feel that way? Like, does anybody else feel like 2026 has gone by fast, but it's also just kind of been somewhat stagnant? If you feel like that, I'm right here with you. I absolutely am. Like I said, we're here talking some sports for the moment currently as it stands. I appreciate you all for joining me today. So we're going to hop into it. This weekend over here in Mack Truck Land, very quiet, very just relaxing. I was able to spend some time with my wife, get some stuff done. I still wasn't feeling the best, but I feel a lot better than I did on Thursday after having missed the show, just due to the fact that being a female sucks. On the map, listen, out here, what a perfect time for a network plug. Again, this show in series is presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as the TikTok live stream platform. Make sure you're following On the Map for all things new, exciting in sports and music culture. All the stories behind the scenes that you won't hear anywhere else unless you're on the map. Okay. What's good? Welcome in. Good morning. Thank you guys for joining us. Go ahead and tap your screens. Go ahead and get your daily heartbeats, all the things. Got to make up for some time. So let's do it. Hi, KK. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Go ahead and get your daily heartbeats. We're working sports today. Okay. Just kind of do a recap here. I got my cup of coffee if you're joining us per normal. Here on a normal, the cup of coffee is back. Okay, last week we had Dr. Pepper and Monster. Okay, thank you for joining the Mack Truck fan club. I appreciate it. This week is coffee. We're switching up a little bit, getting back to the healthier lifestyle of things. Babe and I are starting out, going strong. Thank you for the daily heart, me best friend. Welcome in. I appreciate you guys for joining me. Go ahead and share it out. Let's get some people in here. Let's see if we can talk some sports, get a good conversation going. Like I said, on the docket, the only things we have today are all things WNBA and some more NFL football contracts and controversies and training camp news and such. So we're not going to quite get into it because I just want to just chat with you guys. Just want to open up the room a little bit, get some feels out there, see how everybody's doing, how everybody's going, how the weekend was before we get into all things sports here. Like I said, you can catch the show weekdays. I am talking Enes Kanter. That is one thing I am talking about on the WNBA sphere. I was going to save this topic for the top of the week, and it is now top of the week, so we're talking about it. Just some of the many topics inside of the WNBA. I also talking about some game stats and some records that were broken by Kayla McBride, some contributions in terms of game winning with Olivia Miles, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, who also broke a record. Also going to talk about the painstakingly obvious other controversy and drama when it comes to the WNBA and the Indiana Fever. Good morning, Nader Gator. Thank you for joining us here on Mac Truck in the Morning, the Mac Truck Podcast. Again, you can find the show itself on the Underknown Network via Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as on the map. Flying out with that dude Biggs, FLG Game Flow with J-Mac, okay? All things recognized game that comes back on the 23rd because football season is here, guys. Football season is here. I don't know if you understand. I don't know if you know, but it's a thing. Also, thank you guys for joining me. I see everybody starting to come in here, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you for joining us. Like I said, we got two main topics, lots of details, lots of everything. Also going to go over the giant contract by Jahmyr Gibbs and just the entirety of the fact that it seems like every single time that we are talking football, especially just with NFL training camps going on, college games, all the things, it seems like every other day somebody's getting the biggest contract. Today, we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs and why I am so enamored with this contract and why I think it should have happened before. But we're going to get into that later. We're also going to, like I said, going to talk about some basketball. We're going to talk about Enes Kanter in terms of the comments and some of the controversy around the WNBA. So I appreciate you guys for joining us. Thank you. Please keep tapping the screen, sharing it out. Let's get people in here. We're talking sports. Hi, Alfonso. Welcome in. Got some goals for today on the TikTok sphere. Got some goals over here on the StreamYard on the Underknown. Make sure you guys are following the Underknown Network. That's the only place you're gonna be able to find the show unless I do it like a random solo kickoff show during like the weekend or something. But the Mac Truck Podcast can only be found currently on the Underknown Network via Spotify and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you're following all shows, and make sure you're following In My Bag Apparel Customs by Evan Bradfield, the official partner and sponsor of the Mac Truck Podcast. We'll have the official merchandise plug later on in the show. But I want to know how your guys' weekend was. What did everybody do? Was there sports? Did I hear about the Kawhi Leonard situation? I think they'll have an investigation done by training camp. I heard and saw a little bit of it. To be quite honest, I didn't fully invest in it because I like to, if I'm going to talk about it, I want things to be done. I want them to be solidified before I just, start talking on things that aren't completely solidified just because they always change. Thank you guys for joining us. All right, let's get into it. WNBA was live. Okay, fire as normal if you are a sports fan, if you're a WNBA fan. Myself, I am. And I'm going to just start. And before we even get into the stats, I feel like I need to preface my comments by saying this. Just because I am an Indiana Fever fan, and just because I am a Caitlin Clark fan, does not mean I am immune to criticizing her. I don't know. And maybe it's just the other platform of social media that I use where people are just like, so argumentative that they refuse to listen or hear other people's points of view. And again, I'm not saying that I'm perfect because I've definitely been there. I've definitely been in the realm of, my opinion is my opinion. And I don't really want to hear anything. I'm not absolutely like that now. So it's interesting to me that people in 2026 still have this interesting mindset. Yeah, don't worry. Alfonso, we're getting to Minnesota and Dallas here in the next couple seconds. But I just need to preface my comments in terms of the controversy with the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark and all the things. But right now, we're talking Kayla McBride, okay? Talking the Minnesota Lynx, who are just, listen, and I'll put my coffee cup down before I spill it, and we end up not having a show because coffee's everywhere. Kayla McBride, okay, and the Minnesota Lynx are not to be played with. I don't give a damn who you are. They are not to be played with. Kayla McBride especially, okay? And also, you can find this information, obviously, at WNBA News or WNBA.com, ESPN.com, and the Associated Press for those of you who would like to know where to find this information. You also always have to cite your information till you get those credentials to not have to. That's what we do here on the Truck Pod, okay? It's what we do. Now, Kayla McBride and the Minnesota Lynx, Olivia Miles and the Minnesota Lynx, Nafisa Collier, Minnesota Lynx, Courtney Williams, and the Minnesota Lynx crushed Paige Beckers, Arika Gumbawale, Izzy Fudd in a game this weekend. And when I say crushed, I mean 103-90, and I mean Kayla McBride's out here dropping 43 points and 10 and sets the new WNBA record for single season three-pointers made in a game. Okay. And I'm so glad because on weekends that I don't have my baby girl, get to enjoy time with my wife, and I get to enjoy the thing I love most, which is watching sports, analyzing sports, talking sports, being in streams, all the things. So I was very happy when I got to watch this game. And when I tell you the last three that Kale McBride hit in the back corner, I spit my soda out. I was like, no, she didn't just hit 10 threes in a game. And I'm sitting here like I'm mind blown with the fact that just happened, but at the same time, I'm not mind blown because that's the type of talent that's in the WNBA, and it's not showcased enough. And I need to do better as a fan, as a journalist, as an analyst, whatever you want to call me, to make sure that I'm highlighting everything, like not just a couple teams, but just as much of everything as I possibly can. So here's the meat and bones of it. Again, Kayla McBride broke the WNBA single game record for 3-pointers in a game with 10 3-pointers in the victory over the Dallas Wings. Like I said, 103-90. Kayla McBride also had a career high of 43 points, went 10 for 14 beyond the 3-point line. The previous 3-point shot record in the WNBA had been done 8 times before last night, before the new record was set. Okay, 8 times, 2 of which were done by Marina Mabry this season, the 53-point game during a 6-game stretch, and then the most recent one on June 25th of this year. The other instance, as far as recency bias, Ryan Howard for the Atlanta Dream made 9 threes in a single game twice this season, tying that record along with Marina Mabry, and then obviously Kayla McBride crushing that record last night. And to be quite honest with you, I am excited for the mere fact that the WNBA, and this is just obviously like my personal opinion, but just being able to look at it from an athlete's point of view, like the WNBA is finally in a spot where it's starting, and I hate to say starting like that, but a lot of people used to look at the WNBA as just a comical spectacle. I mean, I think those of us who've been fans for a long time can honestly say that. People were looking at it as a spectacle and not as a sport not as a high-level sport for women's athletes to play basketball at a high level. Now in 2020, I'd say from Asia Wilson's class with 2018, 2019 to now, it has just grown that much each season, like each draft class, it's just grown and grown and grown and grown up until now. And now we're going into the 2027 season with Hannah Hidalgo coming out, Juju Watkins coming out, and all the things. So you also have Audie Crooks, who transferred from Iowa State to Oklahoma State. Well, there's so much happening in the world of women's basketball, and especially with all these new classes coming in. Madison Booker as well, coming in to basketball and coming in the WNBA. It keeps growing, and this is what we love to see. You love to see things like this, and you love to see the sport being taken seriously as a sport. Now, the fact that it's starting to be seen as a sport and people are starting to understand, like, oh, these women are out here just cooking folk. That's what it's always been. And yeah, and Alfonso, I see all the people down there. And like I said, like there's so many people coming out of the 2027 college class, like this coming basketball season. It's insanity. Like I could sit here and probably give you a list of top 50 if I had time to. But either way, the fact that the sport is taking over into, and obviously it has its controversies, it has its dramas, all the things. I'm not refuting that. Obviously, it's sports. Life and sports have its own issues, have its own drama, whatever you want to call that. But the fact that we're trying to get to a place where we're talking more about the game and how players are playing or impacting it from a basketball point of view is what we're here to talk about. So in terms of basketball, just kind of going back to that Minnesota Lynx game, Olivia Miles also, who at this point, I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care what you tell me. Olivia Miles has Rookie of the Year locked up. Okay. She also at this point needs to be on the MVP race list. I don't care who you are. Argue with your mama, not me. That is a thing. Madam Afro, Madam Goggles, Olivia Miles out here. And the fact that she adds that much more value as a rookie to Cheryl Reeves' offense with Courtney Williams, with Fee coming off of a double ankle surgery, okay, with Kayla McBride in the corners just lighting fire. Okay, like Olivia Miles adds to that. And in fact, she added 20 points and had 13 assists to go along with the 43 points, to go along with the 103 win over the Dallas Wings. Coffee break. Natasha Howard as well. Yes, listen, Natasha Howard, and and I'm going to go on a little bit of rant for 10 seconds, and then we're going to get back to basketball. I was crushed, truthfully, when the Indiana Fever just didn't renew her contract. I hated that for us. However, we'll talk about that later. But the fact that she's adding that much more value to a Minnesota Lynx team who, seemingly enough, if I had to pick a winner right now, the Minnesota Lynx is winning the championship. If I had to really get into it, and we're about 3-ish weeks off of the All-Star break, so we're into the back half of the WNBA season. So if I had to pick a winner right now, as far as my top 5 and even champion, I'd say the champion is the Minnesota Lynx, and then followed by the Aces, the New York Liberty, the Golden State Valkyries, and probably Indiana or Atlanta at 5 or 6. If I had to pick right now, as far as top 5 winner down to the bottom 5 of that. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the confetti. I appreciate it. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining us here. If you're just tapping in, we're talking WNBA from over the weekend, specifically enough, the 103-90 victory with Kayla McBride, Olivia Miles, and Nafisa Collier of the Minnesota Lynx, demolishing the likes of the Dallas Wings with Paige Beckers, Enrique Gobawale, and AZ Fudd over there. So listen, kind of just some more scores here and information. The Vegas Aces dropped to the New York Liberty and also got crushed, 71-112. But the Aces also were resting Asia Wilson, Jack Young, and Chelsea Gray. And I don't quite understand. I mean, I get it in terms of like game management. Like, obviously they've been playing a bunch of games straight, this entire season. Sometimes you just got to rest your veterans. And I saw a lot of people online like, oh, like they're going to, they're just casual fans, not understanding the fact that like athletes need rest. Star athletes need rest. Normal athletes need rest. Sometimes it happens. Whether it's for one game, 2 games, a couple games, like athletes need their rest. And sometimes especially if you're the Aces and you have a really good winning record and you're, in the top 3, top 4, top 5 type thing, you can afford to drop a game to give those star players that you have on your roster rest. It's just like basketball, just like any other sport in its entirety. So I don't quite understand the disdain in terms of that, especially because they were just back to back, I believe, for a 3-game stretch. And they start back up tonight, I believe, tonight or tomorrow. So it's just the world of casual, at least just casual sports fans in terms of the WNBA is very strange. It's just very weird to me. Either way, they did, like I said, they did drop that one 71-112 to the New York Liberty. The Golden State Valkyries beat the Sparks 84-78. The Mystics beat the Mercury by 20 points, 95-75. So those are just some of the stats and scores from the weekend games. And listen, the Golden State Valkyries, honestly, I'm not going to be shocked at all if they just come out and start to blow people out of the water, especially with it getting closer and closer to the end of the season and starting to get into that playoff feel, that playoff sparks about the end of the season and everything. So I'm fully excited for the outscape and the landscape of the WNBA in its entirety as far as basketball. And I'm gonna kind of slide in a little random topic here that's not quite on the docket, but it's still WNBA related. Angel Reese, ever since asking for a trade from the Chicago Sky and ending up down in Atlanta with Ryan Howard, with Brianna Jones, and everybody down there, Brittany Griner. Okay. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you are a hater. If you are a basketball fan, have played basketball, have watched basketball, have talked about basketball in its entirety, Angel Reese's game has been elevated since she left Chicago. And the fact that people don't want to recognize that is crazy to me. I don't understand it. I don't know why. And like I said, I think a lot of it stems back to people still holding on to stuff from college. And that's fine. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that will hold on to stuff from when Caitlin Clark was in college, from when Leah Boston was in college, from Raymond Johnson was like people hold on to things because, for whatever reason, they seem to think that, if I hold on to this, my opinion is going to be facts. That's not quite how it is. Again, and I see everybody. Thank you guys for joining me. Hi, Melissa. Welcome in to the TikTok stream. I see everybody. Oh, my cousin's over here in the StreamYard. Hi, welcome in. You're watching Mac Truck in the Morning. We're talking sports. If you guys are on both sides, please like, share, and subscribe. Tap the screen, send your gifts, all the things. Get the engagement going in its entirety. But back to Angel Reese. I don't understand the hate for. I don't understand the outlying hate for people like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese in terms of when it comes to just basketball, just the game of basketball, dribbling ball, putting ball into hoop, dribbling ball, passing ball to teammates to put ball into hoop, just ball in itself, nothing else. It's wild to me because again, 99% of the time, average people are not about to just be able to step on the court and drop 20 points on an Asia Wilson. They're not going to be able to drop 15 points on Caitlin Clark. You're not going to be able to drop 15 points on Olivia Miles or Kayla McBride. Like, you're just not going to be able to do that. That's not how that works. You could think that's how that works. That's not how that goes, though. Either way, I don't understand the hate in terms of basketball related when it comes to some of these players, but that's what happens. That's how you have speculations in sports. But like I said, the show you can find here on the Underknown Network, also as well as TikTok is the TikTok stream as well. Okay, all things Underknown Network, from On the Map to the Mac Truck Podcast, flying out with that dude Biggs. Recognized game that comes back at the start of college football season, 8/23. That's August 23rd in the next couple weeks. For those of you who don't know, as well. Okay. And all things On the Map music reviews. If you have not tuned into this specific show on the Underknown Network, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I quite literally don't know. It's the best place to find brand new music artists and music artists who have been out there literally on the map, but have literally just been underknown. That's what we do here. We discover things. We talk about things on the underknown spectrum. Okay. That's what it is. So if you're not on board, I don't know what it is that y'all are doing with your life in its entirety. It makes no sense to me. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Either way, we're still here, WNBA land. But specifically, we're talking basketball of the Indiana Fever first. Straight basketball. We're not talking about any drama right this second. We are talking about it, just not right this second. I'm strictly talking the game and the score and the stats, period. I need y'all to understand that right now. So, the Indiana Fever win a close one against Chicago on Saturday, 86-90 in favor of the Indiana Fever. Kelsey Mitchell needs to be the MVP. It's literally got to be her and Asia Wilson. It has to be. And obviously Olivia Miles, those three. Has to be the top 3 to 4 when it comes to the WNBA MVP race. I don't care who you are. If you watch basketball, and I cannot stress enough, like, basketball is such a great sport. Like, basketball is one of those sports where everybody can kind of relate to it because it's something that a lot of people have played before on some kind of level. What frustrates me is when people spin narratives outside of basketball. Obviously, that happens everywhere with sports. Like I said, we're not talking about drama right now. We're talking about Kelsey Mitchell. Kelsey Mitchell also set a record on Saturday, for those of y'all who don't know or didn't quite see the game. Kelsey Mitchell just out here frying folks and doing it in such a crazy way. She's just like, game after game, she's just like, okay, I'm going to just drop this cool 30 points, this cool 20 points, and keep it moving. Mind you, for those of you who don't know, Kelsey Mitchell is also studying for her doctorate. She's studying for her doctorate and dropping 25 plus points. Like, I'm speechless, and I don't even know how to react to this because, like, you're playing basketball at a professional level, a very, very high professional level, might I add. And 30 minutes before games, you're typing up a thesis, or you're finishing up your thesis. You're getting one of your assignments started for your doctorate as a WNBA player. Like, what kind of, like, you have to have some kind of insane brain power for that to be a thing. Like, it makes so much sense, but it makes no sense at all. Like, how are you even able to have that type of capacity? But that's what happens when you're somebody like Kelsey Mitchell, who knows what she wants, knows her game, and just comes out and plays every single day. So, like I said, Kelsey Mitchell sets a new WNBA single season record with her 16th straight game of 20 plus points or more. Okay. Let me repeat that. 16 straight games with 20 points or more in a game. It's just and let me just and we're gonna pull up the live stats for Kelsey Mitchell, and just so you guys can get a taste of literally what I'm talking about in case you haven't tuned in to the WNBA, don't watch the WNBA, all the things. So Kelsey Mitchell right now in 2026 is averaging 24 points. She's averaging just about 2 rebounds at 1.7, just about 3 assists at 2.7, and 1 steal per game. Okay. The last 4 games, we're gonna go the last 4 games. So from Chicago down to July 31st, which was the win against Portland. Kelsey Mitchell played 36 minutes in Chicago, had 27 points. They lost in overtime on Thursday to the Vegas Aces, 86-84 in overtime. She played 39 minutes, had 28 points. On Sunday, they lost to the Minnesota Lynx by 8 points. She played 35 minutes, had 37 points, and rounding out just this part of the stat, played at Portland, got the win 112-98, 36 minutes, 26 points. 4 games, that's 4 games straight of almost 30 points in its entirety. Just so you guys are aware of the production that Kelsey Mitchell is out here just having the ball, just skating across the court, just dropping threes, hitting mid-ranges. And she made an insane pass to Michaela Timpson, and I was like, did she like bobble the ball or what was she doing? Michaela Timpson was coming back down the same side of the court. Kelsey Mitchell goes up for a layup and just tosses over to her shoulder. Michaela Timpson drops the layup in. I was like, oh, okay, so we're just out here whining and dining right now. Like, that's what we're doing. And you love to see it. But either way, and to add to this production, Caitlin Clark also adds 26 points and 11 assists in herself. Caitlin Clark has the most assists, I believe, in the WNBA right now. So for those y'all who are out there saying that Caitlin Clark's not super efficient, ask Kelsey Mitchell. Ask the people on her team. You don't have to have a high shooting percentage to be completely efficient. Yes, your shooting percentage is like 80% of your efficiency rate, but it's also how you pass the ball. It's where you pass the ball, to who you're passing the ball to. Are your teammates making shots after you pass the ball? That's where your efficiency starts to come in. Her court vision is insanity. I don't understand how she sees these types of things at a high level. I'm for it though. Same thing with Kelsey Mitchell, though. Her court vision is disgusting in the best way possible. I'm just sitting here like, and I watch, and then, like I said, the Indiana Fever is my team. They have been my team since I was little. I literally have my team, Kamika Catchings signed basketball right here above me on this other side of my shelf. Like, so I think it's funny when people sit there like, oh, you're a casual. That no, you clearly don't know who I am. I'll tell you that right now. Either way, Kelsey Mitchell's court vision is something I've never seen. It's very Allen Iverson-esque. It's very much quick twitch. It's very much like, okay, like I'm about to outrun you down this court and set something up, and I'm creating a mismatch off the top. It's very much we're going to dump and dish and grab, either make them use the shot clock, whatever that looks like. We're making them spread out the ball and mess up their offense. And then when we get the takeaway, they miss a bucket. We're flying back down the court and we're setting something up right away. Like the Indiana Fever offense is very, very high tempo, but once they go cold, it's very hard for them to crawl themselves back. They have been able to do it. They did it with the Vegas Aces and lost by 2 points. Like, I'm not exactly upset with that loss. That was a very competitive game. I don't think you could have asked for more outside of winning. And a lot of that has to do with the pedigree of each player. Like, a lot of those players came from fast-paced offenses. Kelsey Mitchell went to Ohio State, came from a fast-paced Big Ten offense. Caitlin Clark went to Iowa, came from a fast-paced, high-tempo offense in Iowa. Sophie Cunningham, who we'll get to in just a second, went to Mizzou, came from a high-powered offense. So, and it's just like, you could go down. Aaliyah Boston came from South Carolina, a very, very high-powered, high-paced offense. So when you put a lot of like-minded pieces together and you finally get them to click on all cylinders, it's scary. Just ask the Vegas Aces. Okay, ask the New York Liberty. Ask the Minnesota Lynx. I almost said the Minnesota Vixen, but ask them too. High-powered offense over there in the Minnesota Vixen land. Shout out to them, 2026 Pro Division champions for the WFA. If you don't know about the WFA, We'll talk about that in a new episode next week when it gets closer to football season. Either way, high-powered offenses and like-minded pieces make for success. But you also have to have the defense. And Indiana's finally showing consistent defense. So I'm not out here throwing stuff at my TV screen. I'm not out here cussing and everything. So it's great to watch. It's great to see. Either way, the Indiana Fever are also not a team to be messed with. The Vegas Aces, not a team to be messed with. Minnesota, definitely not a team to be messed with. Golden State, a lot of the teams in the WNBA are not teams to be messed with. But any given game day, anything can happen. That's what I have to say. Listen, we're going to get into the controversy of what happened in Chicago. 2 different things happened. Well, really 3 different things happened. 2 major things, 1 minor thing. Okay. So, and before we get into it, again, thank you guys for joining me here on Mac Truck in the Morning-ish. Mac Truck podcast, if you will, presented to you by the Underknown Network as well as TikTok Live itself. My name is Mac Truck. Thank you for welcome in. Thank you for joining us. All the things. It's Monday. Clearly, we're having speech issues just because it's the top of the week, but we're gonna get it together by Friday because we always do. Either way, make sure you're following the Underknown Network and make sure you are getting all your Mac Truck apparel at inmybag.bigcartel.com and the TikTok shop as well. Right now, when you shop online at bigcartel.com through In My Bag Apparel itself, I almost said the Unknown Network. When you're online and you use the code word truck at checkout, you get 50% off your entire first order at inmybag.bigcartel.com and again on the TikTok shop as well. Okay, 50% off your entire first order when you use the code word truck. And again, make sure you tell them the Mac Truck sent you, because if you don't, there ain't no way that you've been knowing about the Underknown Network as well as In My Bag Apparel unless you've been already put on game. So don't sit here and tell me, but that's where you get all your merchandise. I have, some extra stuff, but I no longer sell merchandise by myself as far as like ordering it and selling it. Like it's all on inmybag.bigcartel.com in the TikTok shop. That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you. That's what it is. That's where you get it. Now, and I see a comment here from Alfonso, Bonagulating Queen of the Mystics was a good move. We're going to talk about that tomorrow. And there's a specific reason I want to talk about that tomorrow, because it kind of links into what we're talking about with the drama-wise in terms of what happened with Chicago and the alignment of player. And we're going to talk about Benaji tomorrow, all the things. So just to kind of give you a hint of what's on the docket. So again, make sure you're tapping the screen, sharing it out on both platforms, all the things. Drama time. For those of you who know, the Chicago Sky and the Indiana Fever have always had some kind of beef, some kind of angst, some kind of hostility. It's what happens in sports, especially women's sports. The cattiness, the competitiveness, it's very chippy, very angry, very cat-like, if you will. Dejanay Carrington. If anybody has watched basketball in the WNBA, you know that Dejanay Carrington is very much she plays with a lot of emotion. She's very chippy. She's very much, she don't care. Like, I'm going to just put it out there. She doesn't care. And I love the fact that she doesn't care, but some of the things that she does, you have to be more mindful of. Her comment was actually on X, but we're just, hold on a second. We're getting there. I swear, Alfonso. Dejanay Carrington, who just came off an injury, mind you, plays for the Chicago Sky. She just got cleared like Wednesday of last week to be able to play, to just do full contact, full go, all the things. She has been cleared to play. She started for the Chicago Sky. Camille Cardoso. Okay. Courtney Vandersloot. J.J. Shelton. Okay. Dejanay Carrington. Now, Dejanay Carrington gets ejected in the first quarter with a flagrant 2 foul on Sophie Cunningham. And I'm going to talk about the foul first because it's basketball related. The other stuff is not quite basketball related. And when I say not quite, it's absolutely not basketball related. Who am I kidding? Dejanay Carrington goes down the court, obviously trying to chase Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham goes for a layup on the right, obviously the right side of the basket. her being right-handed, goes up for the basket, puts her hand up, and rather than just leaving her hand up and going for the ball, she takes her forearm and just brings it right across Sophie Cunningham's face. I wish I could put the clip up here, but you can also go back and look at all the things. It's all over sports. But Dejanay Carrington comes back and just basically strikes Sophie Cunningham in her face. Now, if anybody knows Sophie Cunningham, she's also a type of person. I don't care. I'm very, I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to regret it, which I love. So it's not like Sophie Cunningham is innocent, but in this specific basketball instance, she was going up for a layup. She was making a basketball move. Dejanay Carrington was not making a basketball move. After said non-basketball move committed by Dejanay Carrington, they get into a scrap. Sophie Cunningham goes for Dejanay's neck. It's obviously like a whole thing, not a big thing, but a whole thing. Both benches start to clear all the things. They get pulled back. Now, after the refs go back and assess the foul, look at all the details, see if they need to upgrade all things. It was a common foul. Then they upgraded to a flagrant foul because it wasn't a basketball move. All the things, all the details we just talked about. Now, Dejanay Carrington, like a minute or so, 2 minutes into the first quarter, gets ejected. And I see some comments here from On the Map itself. I don't think that play was intentional. DC is known for her chase down. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I don't personally think it was intentional. She was legitimately going up to try to block the shot, block the ball, stop the shot, whatever it was. But her aggressiveness is what was eye-opening to me. But again, it wasn't egregious. It wasn't like when Sophie Cunningham just wrapped her arm around somebody and just brought her down. It wasn't like that, but it was extra enough to where they had to upgrade it because it was contact to the head, face, and neck area. It sucks. Yeah, Stephanie White also said the same thing. It wasn't crazy, but because it was contact to the head, face, and neck area, it's an automatic upgrade. It's a weird rule in the W. I'm not a huge fan of it. I feel like it should just be the head and neck area because people get elbowed in the face. It was like I said, for me, the act itself wasn't crazy, but because it was head and neck area, it was warranted, for sure. I'm not saying it wasn't, because it was. But here's the issue is, and some of this stems back to some of the comments that Sophie Cunningham has said as far as her stance on trans rights, transgender athletes in the WNBA, that type of thing. I don't necessarily think that Dejanay's comment that was posted on X and Threads was correspondent to that, or a response, but I could see how people would think such a thing. But the comment that was made didn't have anything to do with Sophie Cunningham's comment. So Dejanay, after she gets ejected, about 5 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes later from what they reported, she goes on X, goes on Threads, and in capital letters, types white privilege, and then tags the Indiana Fever. And my first thought was really, Dejanay? Why are we automatically doing this? Thank you for the daily heart me. Hi, babe. Welcome in. Listen, quick pause. Everybody in the comments, say hey, babe, in capital letters, because she loves when you do it. And babe doesn't get to come into the live show in the morning very often, so it makes me happy when she comes in. Anyway, back to basketball, because her and I also had this conversation yesterday over our morning breakfast and coffee. So Dejanay Carrington gets on social media and types white privilege in capital letters and tags the Indiana Fever. And unfortunately, it's now partly about race, because Dejanay Carrington made it about race. And I hate talking about racial topics in sports. Race and politics in sports don't go together. It's the most exacerbatingly frustrating thing in the entire planet. Dejanay, you getting ejected had nothing to do with white privilege. You fouled Sophie Cunningham in her face, head, and neck area. By WNBA rules and standards, that is an automatic upgrade to a flagrant 2 from a common foul. Now, I also don't know Dejanay's experience being a WNBA player and playing in Indiana, things like that. Historically speaking, Indiana has been known, just the entire sports scope of Indiana, has been known to be not nice to athletes and players of color, just like the Boston sports market, just like a lot of other sports markets that are predominantly red state based. Now, again, I don't know her background when it comes to that. I don't know her experience. So I can't necessarily say her comment wasn't warranted. I can say in that moment of her getting ejected during the Indiana Fever game in her home court at United Center was not warranted for that. It wasn't warranted in that aspect. Again, I can't speak on what she's experienced before because obviously there was things that stemmed up to her writing that comment. It's a thing. It's interesting to me though. Why does she always find herself in negative attention? And it kind of goes back to when we talked about Kennedy Carter last week. Kennedy Carter had the exact same issue. Like it makes it. I don't quite understand it. And I'm speaking as a Black woman in America, as a Black athlete myself. I'm doing my best to try to put myself in her shoes. Like, okay, I just came off of injury. I haven't been able to play. Like, I've been in a lot of issues before, like prior to that. But I don't understand where the connection between the two would have been because you got ejected. You throw her on the face. Like, I don't like if you're going to claim that type of thing, make sure you have proof. Don't just fucking tag somebody and go, oh, Indiana Fever, white privilege because you got ejected because you hit her in the face because you were trying to make a basketball play and ended up just being a little bit too aggressive. That has nothing to do with white privilege. And if anybody on here has a problem with it, find my inbox. Let's have a conversation. Because I hate when players of any color, any kind, any creed, any sexual orientation try to spin a narrative that's not there. It's different if the narrative is there. Like I said, the Indiana Fever, not the Indiana Fever, but the Indiana sports scope in its entirety when it comes to the world of women's basketball in a professional realm. It is a thing, but not in every instance. And I see some comments here. Fear 20. What does Black privilege have to do with what I'm talking about right now? Black players got mad because Caitlin Clark broke records. No, first of all, I'm a Black person. I'm a huge Caitlin Clark fan. I'm also an Iowa fan. I went to the University of Iowa. A lot of other, if you're going to spin that narrative, and well, this is a real conversation here on the Mac Truck Show, okay, Mac Truck in the morning ish. If you're going to spin that narrative, shut up and listen to what I'm about to tell you. A lot of Black people did the same thing with Caitlin Clark. Did the same thing with Sophie Cunningham. Did the same thing with Paige Beckers. So don't sit here and come in my comments and talk about Black players. No, it's equal across the board. And if you have a problem, the door's over there. Like, I'm sick of people trying to spin a narrative and trying to make it about race. Sports has room. Race, politics, and religion have no room in sports, just like the other way around. Okay, if Sophie Cunningham spoke truth, I'm glad she did. And I think it's funny that people think that opinions are truth. That's the other thing, is your opinion is not a fact. Your opinion does not make something true in its entirety. Let me just, your opinion does not warrant truth. Your opinion is a fact. Other times I have to say it. It's all men until they change. Okay. And fine. If you want to have this conversation, we can have this conversation because a lot of this is stemmed from what Sophie Cunningham said. So Fear 20, whoever this individual is, and I listen, and I appreciate the dialogue, okay? I always welcome dialogue of any kind, but when you start to get ignorant is when we start to have a problem. Keep holding the conversation like you have, and we can talk about it, okay? And this is going to be an interesting playback. I'm going to just throw that out there. Fear 20, it's all men until they change your gender, and then you start supporting them over real women. Well, I think it's funny because a lot of people that are talking about the issue with Enos Cantor and Royce White, who painstakingly enough goes into this entire conversation about Sophie Cunningham's comments, is everybody, and as a female athlete, at 34 years old, as a female professional athlete myself. Everybody wants to talk about protecting women's sports, but none of y'all are doing it. None of y'all are supporting it. None of y'all are in here talking about women's sports in a space. None of y'all are out here sharing and subscribing to women's sports things. None of y'all are out here having those types of conversations. But the second a dude or somebody is truly trying to make a transition, you have a problem with it. Now you suddenly want to say, I'm an advocate for women's sports. Oh, I want to protect women's sports. No, the fuck you don't. Because if you were, you'd be in women's spaces. You'd be supporting women. You would not be online running your mouth about women's sports. But then when you see Royce White or somebody talk about, oh, I'm transitioning type of thing. Now, on the flip side of that, I personally don't think that's going to be a thing. Because there's not been any reports of old NBA players reporting that they're in a full transition from female to male, or male to female. There's not been any reports of that, so I think it's a publicity stunt, frankly. But if that were to be a thing, I don't have an issue with it. And if anybody on here has a problem with it, I don't fucking care. Frankly, I don't give a shit. It's my show. Okay, it's my opinion. That's how I feel. Obviously, other people feel a different type of way. Right, exactly. Bottom line, it does not have anything to do with gender or race. The topic was her actions at hand, quite literally. And thank you guys that are still in here. We're ranting and have a conversation. I think it's funny that Fear 20 said what they said and then left because they didn't want to hear what I had to say. Don't come into people's lives and platforms if you're going to have a conversation, have a real conversation, especially on mine. If anybody knows me at all, don't come into a space that you've never been into, try to hold a conversation, and then leave when somebody doesn't say something that you don't like. It don't make no sense. Either way, fact of the matter is, Dejanay Carrington got ejected for the attempted basketball move she made. That's the bottom line. It had nothing to do with white privilege. It had nothing to do with race until you made it about race. Now, the other part of this entire thing is knowing the WNBA and knowing most professional sports realms. Typically, you don't get punished twice for the same thing unless you do that exact same thing over again, whether it's back-to-back or a couple games later, a couple years later, whatever. Once you get punished or penalized for something, for an action or, something to that effect, once you get penalized for it, essentially you don't get penalized again. Essentially, unfortunately, there's a possibility that Dejanay could get more backlash from the league because of her comments. And I hate that because she got ejected from the game. She basically already got suspended. I love you too, babe. She got ejected from the game. Technically, that counts as a suspension because she didn't even play a full 5 minutes of the game, mind you guys. My fear is that the WNBA is going to try and they're going to try and make, and not even try, they're going to find a way to make an example out of Dejanay Carrington in its entirety. And I hate that because she said what she said. She meant what she said. I don't agree with it, clearly. But she stood on what she said. She got ejected. She, struck Sophie Cunningham in the face incidentally, I should say, like when she, making a basketball move. But I feel like the WNBA is going to try to do more damage, like over damage control, and essentially like either fine her or, tell Chicago that she's suspended for a game. Like my fear is that they're going to try to do too much and try to prove a point. Like we don't stand for that. If you didn't stand for it, you should have said something when it first happened. But also in the same respect, this is what you have official playbacks and reviews for after the game, things like that. Speaking of which. This entire Enes Kanter and Royce White coming out talking about both of them are transitioning and are going into the 2027 WNBA draft in its entirety. Several things would have to happen if that is actually true. Number one, and I'm speaking with experience from this, so if anybody has a problem, my inbox is open. Okay. As a transgender athlete, hello, new friend, welcome in. We're talking sports. We're talking some controversy here in the WNBA in terms of transgender rights and comments that were said by Sophie Cunningham and other things. In the world of professional women's sports, specifically women's tackle football, if a transgender athlete wants to play on the women's tackle teams, and I'm going to go ahead and just assume that a lot of other professional women's entities may follow a similar lineage of such a timeline. Transgender athletes have to meet the normalcy requirements of testosterone levels and estrogen levels of that of a natural born female, if not just above. And I say just above because there are females that have a little bit higher testosterone levels. I am one of them. But there are women out there that have a little bit higher testosterone levels. So they say there's a benchmark, you have to meet all the things. You also have to prove that, you have to have your doctor sign off, you have to physical, you have to there's so much you have to do for those leagues and entities to you have to prove to them that you are in a transition or in that you have gone through your transition, whatever that looks like. For these two, however, they're stating that they're going out for the 2027 WNBA draft. That's not going to happen. You've played in the pros in the NBA already. You've gotten paid for a contract already. So you cannot go backwards and then join a new league. That's the problem. You can't backtrack and go back to college and get redrafted. That's not how that works. And besides, that means you would also have to go back to college because women's college basketball rules in terms of the amount of years you have to, the minimum amount of years you have to play is different from men's college basketball. In men's college basketball, they have the one and done rule. You can play 1 year and declare for the draft. And women's college basketball, because it's still growing to what we've known men's college basketball to be, the minimum, I believe, is 3 years. I could be wrong. If somebody wants to correct me, please go ahead and do so. But I'm almost positive the lineage and minimum years for women to play college basketball before they can declare for the WNBA is 3 years. Lots of them always play 4 to try and increase their draft stock, like Olivia Miles. I'm pretty sure it's 3, but like I said, I could be wrong. But Olivia Miles played her true senior season last year after transferring from Notre Dame to TCU and she stayed that 4th year. She stayed that 4th year to improve her draft stock. And frankly, I think she should have been the number 1 overall draft pick. That's just me. Argue with your mama. Either way, like I said, the minimum amount of years between men's college basketball to declare for the NBA draft and the WNBA for 3 years from college basketball for them to declare is 2 different things. So Enes Kanter and Royce White would literally have to go back to college and still prove that they're transitioning. They're not just arbitrarily out here trying to, especially because both of them have already had storied careers in the NBA. That's the other, like I said, that's the other entirety of it. And I see some comments down here. I don't know what Kanter was thinking. I mean, what do you, like, Alfonso, I want you to expand on that. Like, what do you mean you don't know what Enes Kanter was thinking? Like, thinking in terms of what he was saying, because frankly, I don't have a problem with it. If that person is truly transitioning, they're going to prove it. If they truly want to play basketball with their gender that they identify, prove it. Prove it. There's nothing wrong with it. And please don't come in the comments talking about men don't need to be in women's sports and women don't. I don't want to hear that shit. Why do you think what he was saying was crazy? Must be 22 years within the WNBA draft within. Okay. So like I said, I was probably a little bit off, but last I knew, I thought it was 3. It's 4. Like 4 or 22 years old. That was what it is. Unless you played overseas. If you've played overseas or you're in a foreign country, I think is the little bit difference that I'm getting mixed up here. But either way, no, I just seen it right there. Thank you for that, by the way, best friend. But my point is people are going to make comments that you don't like. People are going to say things that are like, what are you talking about? Like, people are going to say things that do not necessarily favor the majority. Sophie Cunningham has always been one of those people. And that's also why I love Sophie Cunningham. Like, regardless of how you think she plays, yes, she averages about 9 to 10 points. And I also think it's funny that people are like, oh, well, she only averages 9 points. You have so much to say. You don't even average no points. Let me just make that clear. You average no points in nobody's NBA or WNBA, NFL, NBA, NHL, WHL, PBL, whatever. You average no points in any of those leagues, so who are you to say something? If she has something to say, or if anybody or any of these athletes has something to say, I don't think any one of us are in any kind of room or spectacle to really be like, oh, you don't get to say that. You average 9 points a game. Or do you have a uniform on? Do you have basketball shoes on? Or did you just go through the warm-up lines? Did you just do Western Kentucky? Did you just have shoot around? The answer is no. So, while y'all out here want to be like, Elfrid Cunningham averages 2 points a game, you average negative 2 points a game. You average pocket link. You average belly button grease. You average sleep crusts in your eyeballs is what you do. Now, and also, that's going to make a fantastic clip. Need you to understand that. What I just spun off of my head is going to make a great clip. Best friend, I need you to clip that whenever you can. That's fantastic. I hate myself sometimes. My word association is interesting. Love it here. Either way, people and athletes are going to say things that we don't like and don't favor. But the fact that, and it kind of goes back to, and I'm going to bring this full circle here in just a second. It goes back to, in my opinion, Colin Kaepernick kneeling on top of his. Yeah, all good. Listen, no rush, best friend. Listen, I know being the executive producer of the network is a lot of work. So you know me, I'm patient. So you cool, but that's gonna be a fantastic clip though. Either way, the scope of the sports world since Colin Kaepernick has, did the kneeling and got blackballed and all the things, the scope of people and athletes having zero filter with how they feel about stuff has just progressed the entire time. I love it. I've always been a person that I'm going to tell you how I feel. You don't have to like it, but we're in a conversation and it's something that's close to my heart, your heart, whatever, you align with that. There's going to be a conversation and there's going to be things that weren't necessarily said or liked across the board. Now, going to the other side of this whole controversy, and like I said, this is the little drama that I was talking about at the top of the show. And again, if you guys are here, thank you for joining me. Mac Truck in the Morning-ish, the Mac Truck podcast, presented to you by the Underknown Network, as well as a TikTok live streams. My name is Mac Truck. Thank you for joining us. Still talking WNBA. Just got done talking about Kayla McBride's night, dropping 43, setting the new WNBA three-point single game record, okay, with 10 three-pointers made in the game. Talking Kelsey Mitchell with her 16th straight game of 20-plus points. Caitlin Clark out here dropping assists. Olivia Miles out here dropping assists. Talking the drama at the top in terms of Dejanay Carrington's foul ejection, the X and Threads feed she created as she got ejected. Now, the shorthand of this whole thing, as far as just the Indian fever and the drama we're talking about. And again, I see you guys. Thank you for joining me. Tap the screen, like it, share it out. Make sure you're following the Underknown Network. Get your dailies, all the things. We're still trying to get to that 100 person mark in the community, so I can create a Mac Truck community gift. It's going to be dope. I'm excited. I got the design ready. So we're like 47-ish people away. So let's keep sharing. Let's keep getting it out there. I appreciate it. We're here weekdays from 12:30 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern, roughly, or just before, Monday to Friday. Again, you can find the show on the Underknown Network on Apple Podcast and Spotify, as well as your live streams here, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and all other streaming platforms. Now, back to the fever. Caitlin Clark, who we know, if you watch basketball, have ever watched basketball since the dawn of time, or just recently with Caitlin Clark's, entrance into the WNBA and coming out of Iowa, Caitlin Clark is very mouthy. It's kind of scary. Sometimes frustrating, but warranted as a basketball player. Very frustrating. Things happen, all the things. Caitlin Clark has had 7 technical fouls. If you know the WNBA, once you get assessed your 8th technical foul, you get suspended for a game. Caitlin Clark originally was assessed in her 8th technical foul during this very chippy Chicago Sky game. But it was rescinded. And I knew it was going to happen. Watching the replay, a lot of people knew it was going to happen, getting it rescinded, because she didn't do anything to the referee. She didn't do anything to the official. Outside of her normally saying something, if she would have said something, like, normally her mouth is what gets her the technical. Like, let's be honest, her mouth is what gets her the technical, and that's okay. Like, I mean, it's not okay because that's bad. It's a bad look. Like, your star point guard you just get ejected because she can't just button it up a little bit. Okay. However, Caitlin Clark got knocked off balance out and traveled outside the baseline, as far as like just her body traveled outside the baseline, and she was like trying to stop herself, whatever, and bumped the official. Like not even intentionally, but like if you watch the replay, she gets knocked off balance and like stumbles out of bounds, and the official's here, and Caitlin Clark is here, just like kind of just running, like stumbling in front of her, and she just like bumps her out of the way. And this is how I know that they were looking to give Caitlin Clark a technical foul, because the official waited about 3.5 seconds after Caitlin Clark had bumped into her, and Caitlin Clark is like probably a quarter of the way past the Chicago, or past the Chicago bench, going back towards the other end of the court where the ball was going. They teed her up about 3.5 seconds as she's running down the court. Now, if you're going to call that, call it right away. If you're going to call that and make it look like she did it on purpose, call it right away. Like don't wait, because she, like I said, she waited like 3 to 5 seconds and goes, oh, boom, teed her up. And I thought Stephanie White, Coach White's head was going to fly off of her shoulders. Because why are we assessing technicals super late? If that was truly a technical, you should have called it as fast as you possibly could have. Everybody saw the delay. And this is what's interesting to me. This is something I didn't necessarily agree with when it came to the commentating of this game in its entirety. And I believe it was Ryan Russo, because I believe he commentates a lot of the Indiana Fever games. Great commentator, all the things. But his comment, he goes, oh, Caitlin Clark gets a technical. She didn't even say anything. The fact that you had to say that she didn't say anything tells us all we need to know. Tells us that Caitlin Clark is very mouthy. Tells us that Caitlin Clark is very fiery. She also doesn't need to say anything to receive a technical foul. That's what blows my mind, is like the fact that we've been so used to players getting technical fouls. Players getting technical fouls because of physical play, and now that Caitlin Clark has come into the league and has been very vocal across the board, negatively towards the officials, negatively towards things that she's done or not done, just things about how her team can improve. It's crazy to me. Like, oh, she didn't even say anything. I mean, she really doesn't have to say anything to get a technical foul. She could elbow somebody and get a technical foul. Anybody could get elbowed or throw a swing, to do something that's not a basketball move to get a technical foul. That's the thing. She was playing basketball, got bumped, got knocked out of bounds, all the things. Now, I want to know what you guys think about this before we move on, because we kind of did our audience topics at the top, but I'm gonna try to add them at the bottom too. So I want to know your guys' opinions on just if you think Caitlin Clark's technical should have been rescinded, what you think about it, all the things. That's if you watched the game. If you didn't watch the game, you can go back in and watch it again, or watch the clip and replay out here on the Mac Truck Podcast. Also, cup. Listen, I've had this cup for like a decade. Don't remember where I got it, but I need another one. Welcome to the shit show. My favorite cup. Coffee on a Monday. That's what we're here for. So if you want, go ahead and drop your comments and all the things in both chats over here. But we're moving on. We're here. Still here. Got about 10 minutes left in the show. So I appreciate you guys for joining us here in the studio. Mac Truck in the morning-ish with your girl, Mac Truck. I'm here talking sports. Thank you for joining the fan club. I appreciate it. For those of you who are football fans, NFL fans, okay? Training camp is a thing. Contracts have been a thing. We've talked all kinds of contracts. We've talked just so many contracts in its entirety. I really can't even think of one off the top. Beyond Robinson, we've talked about him. We've talked about really what I feel like is all the running backs up until Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is now the highest paid running back in the NFL, and how this contract hasn't happened earlier is interesting to me. But again, a lot of it has stemmed off of seeing like what other teams are paying their running backs, where the running back market itself either has been reset, has been, like if it's been stagnant, that type of thing. So if anybody has ever watched the NFL, specifically the Detroit Lions, play football in the NFL. This really cool guy named Jahmyr Gibbs, who runs the ball like Derrick Henry, but angrier. He runs so angry, it's insanity. And I want to know where, like, what planet did he drop from? Is my question. Like, I just, and I say this with so much angst because I don't understand how you run so angry and make it look so easy. It's, to me, it's like poetry in motion. Watching him run the football is like watching US figure skating and in its entirety. It's so smooth. It just glides together. It just is. It's so great. But Jahmyr Gibbs deserves this contract. Okay? Listen, like I said, he's now the highest paid running back in the NFL. The NFL in its entirety, obviously National Football League, 32 teams, 32 starting running backs, 32 starting quarterbacks, all the things. Okay? The Detroit Lions extend Jahmyr Gibbs for 3 years, $67.5 million. That literally could end up being up to $75.75 million, which also includes $51.5 guaranteed dollars of money to run the football and run through people for the Detroit Lions. Now, like I said, I feel like this should have happened a while ago. Obviously, with him coming in as a rookie, you have your rookie contract, and then in your last 1 to 2 seasons of your rookie contract, you're eligible for an extension depending on stipulations, all that. Why do players like Jahmyr Gibbs, and I say this with conviction in terms of like with having the utmost respect for how Jahmyr Gibbs has just built a lot like Amon-Ra St. Brown has very much just put in the work, grinded, and progressively has put the Detroit Lions on the map in terms of knowing when you come to the Detroit Lions or when you play them, you already know you're going to be in pain afterwards. You already know it's going to be a game of who's going to be able to stop who in terms of your offensive play. But why is it that players like Jahmyr Gibbs, who seemingly enough just fly under the radar, come in, play the position and just go, like they don't have very many complaints. They come in and grind it out, and pack up and go home. Why does it seem like these types of grinded out players always seemingly enough get their contracts last? I hate that. It drives me nuts. Like when you see a true player of any athletic ability, like and high athletic ability, let me phrase that. Like, why are some of these players that are flying under the radar getting these contract extensions what seems like so much later in their career, if that makes sense? Like, I don't understand it. It makes no sense. Someone help me fathom this. Like, why? And like I said, maybe I'm overthinking this entire thing. I could be. It's very likely that I could be overthinking this, but it kind of makes me upset. Just and not and upset. So it's just like I'm just like upset in a terms of just being like, damn, like he been out here just raw dogging y'all for years. Like y'all being other teams, like just been out here, just I'm gonna run through you, throw you 5 yards, get another 5 yards attached to, all the things that come with being a consummate running back. And not even the fact that he's a running back, but he is a running back that catches passes very, very well out of the backfield. You can send him on a route. You can have him block, all of the things. Like, especially, and I find him more to be like a consummate hybrid player, although his primary position is running back, he catches passes out of the backfield. He's done a little bit of flea flicker. He, all the things. So it just makes me sit here and wonder, like, where do some of these, or how are some of these organizations assessing who gets contracts or when they get contracts in its entirety, if that makes sense. So like I said, maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm just like, maybe I'm just like being nitpicky, but it makes no sense to me. Like, why are we like picking and choosing? It seems like we're picking and choosing when players get these contracts or if they should get these contracts and type of things. But also in the same respect, it's like, I mean, obviously being paid to play sports is like not, and at least in the world of men's sports. And I say this because the women's sports scope in terms of the court of public eye is the complete 180 opposite. So like with men's, it's like they get paid on the potential. They get paid on what they did in college or what their scouting tape has shown. For women's sports, it's very much the opposite. Like, what have you done for me lately? And they could just be coming out of college. But also now, like, just kind of talking about the WNBA, like now with the new collective bargaining agreement, like with the new CBA for the WNBA, that some of that is mitigated to an extent, but it's just like going back to the whole NFL contracts thing. It's just like, how do y'all decide who gets when, where, what goes, who gets what, when it happens, all the things? Do you actually base it off of like the contractual timeline of a rookie contract and go from there? Or do you go off the fiscal year? I would assume a little bit of both, but it's like I said, that's just my business mind kind of going and just really wondering, like, and I said the same thing when it came to Beyond Robinson as well. Like, why did it take y'all so long to pay that man? If you know, pay that man. We got to bring that back somehow. Boss man, if you in here, got to bring that segment back. Pay that man. If you know, you know. That's all I'm going to say. If you were here with Past the Rock, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But pay that man. But why did it take y'all so long to pay that man? Like quite literally. Same thing with Saquon Barkley when he got his contract. Why did it take y'all so long to pay him? Like, and it's interesting to me. I don't understand it. Maybe these are questions I can get answers to later on. Right now, I don't have some clue. Listen, that's all we got for you today, folks. Okay. Listen, it was a good show when my coffee is still sitting here in my cup. I don't know if y'all can see it over here, but coffee is still in the cup. Didn't even get to finish it because we was having a good conversation. And like I said, I appreciate everybody coming in, having a dialogue, whether it's a dialogue I agree with or not. Like, I always welcome dialogue. When it starts to get ignorant is when I have an issue. Wasn't too hot or spicy today, and I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all being able to come in and have a conversation, all the things. So, like I said, that's all we got today. Tomorrow, still talking a little bit more WNBA. Going to have the huge topic on Benijah Laney Hamilton as well, going to Chicago, going to Washington. Going to have more stats and more drama as well. Definitely talking baseball. I've been putting baseball on the back burner purposely because there's just been so much happening in the trade deadline. There's been so many contracts. I can't keep up with it on a daily basis, but we are dedicating tomorrow to some baseball content. So for those of you baseballers out there like myself, we will be talking baseball tomorrow, specifically injury updates, specifically trade deadline updates, things like that, records, standings in obviously the AL and NL, all the things. Talking baseball, talking WNBA, talking a full preview, like an entire preview of UFC 330 this Saturday. I can't wait. But listen, that's all we got. Like I said, like, share, and subscribe to the show. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the Underknown Network first. Make sure you're following all the shows and consummate pieces, sponsors, founders, all the things, especially in my bag of apparel and customs, FLG Game Flow, the Mac Truck Podcast, Flying Out with That Dude Biggs. Recognized game that again comes back on the 23rd of August, football season. Okay. On the Map and On the Map music reviews. Also, On the Map, if we're still here in the comments, need the show plug for the week if we've got it ready. If not, y'all know where to find all your information when it comes to this type of stuff, okay? But like I said, we're done. If anybody has anything in the comments before we lock it up, let me know. My wife is texting me about lunch, which means I should probably pay attention to that here in just a minute. No show this week. Might do reviews. All right. Well, listen, no on the map this week. Okay. Probably, possibly going to be some reviews. Got to see what the executive producers and all the things have for the week. But no on the map this week. So make sure you're tuning in still to all things on the Underknown Network. Make sure you're following on every single social media. Make sure you're following on every single streaming platform in its entirety. We love this. Okay. Like, share, and subscribe to all things on the network, Apple Podcast and Spotify as well. The Mac Truck Show, Mac Truck in the morning-ish. And I really kind of love what we're doing here. Got a daily show going back, like I said, at the top of our new revampment. If you've been with me through the show, through my platforms, the multiple platforms I've had, from professional radio to just doing it in my basement to doing it in my office, as far as like being back in Iowa, all the things. If you've been with me, you know the type of grind that we have had. If you have been with the Underknown Network's core in terms of myself, J-Mac, and the executive producer just sent me something, and for some reason I can't read it because I'm blind. Either way, if you've been with us through this entirety of the entirety of what we've been trying to do, you know where we're trying to go with this. Oh, okay, that's fire. That's cool. I didn't even know this was a thing. Listen, I'm old, okay? 90% of the time, I don't know what's going on when it comes to, like, the big stuff behind the scenes. I just be on here. Thank you for that. Okay. So is this something that I can plug right now? Or is this, like, I believe this is something I can plug right now. So we're going to do that. Fresh plug here on the show. Hi, babe. Welcome back. So if you want to subscribe, okay. But is this for like people here, like inside the network, or people outside the network? I want to make sure I'm plugging it right. This the back half of this is going to be great. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Okay. I was confused. Okay. So is it? Oh, okay. It's one rate for each, right? Okay, that makes more sense. I was like, is this something we're plugging new? That makes sense though. Okay, listen, I'm so slow. I am so slow. I'll be like, wait a minute, what? That makes sense though. Okay, so it's one every. Listen, I'm slow. Y'all gotta tell me things like 4 times, okay? Like, I'm like, what? It's like air just flying up in this head of mine. Either way, we're done with the show. This is going to make some good uncuts and all the things. But again, make sure you're liking and sharing and subscribing to all things on the Underknown, on the Underknown Network in its entirety. Make sure you're liking, sharing, subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all things across social medias as well. You can if you want to. I don't know how this. You're going to have to text me about this because I'm still confused, but a lot of it makes sense. So you're going to have to explain it to me because I'm slow. Either way, we're done for the day. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining me. And yes, babe, okay, I thought the Lake Michigan was the state at one point. And no, I was not gardening. I had a literal blonde moment. It's fine. Okay, just don't judge me. It's all right. Either way, that's the end of the show. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Make sure you're tuned in 12:30 Eastern to 2 p.m. Eastern, 11:30. Okay. See, I'm fucking slow. I told you. I was like, oh, is this a new thing that we're plugging? And it's like, it's the production. It's the production thing. So I was like, okay. Gotta fix it. Okay. I was like, wait a minute. So slow. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time ish. Like, share, and subscribe to all things Underknown Network. Also, for all you moms out there, make sure you're subscribing to the Mom Brew podcast, all things mommy and wife life. Okay. By yours truly, the wife. down the bottom. Bang. Either way, I love y'all. See you tomorrow. We're talking sports, all the things WNBA, baseball, and UFC. Bye.